Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Bert Kreischer is getting a quote-unquote TV show. I don't know why I put quote-unquote. You know what a TV show is. He's getting a Netflix show, probably a better way to phrase it. This one is called Free Burt. In Free Burt, Burt finds himself in uncharted territory when his daughters are accepted to an elite Beverly Hills private school. When Bert's antics turn his family into outcasts, he decides to put on a shirt and stifle his true nature to better fit in. Is it me, or is that sounding a little Kevin James? Like, I told you that Tom Segura is doing El Tigre, which feels Tom Segura, and the Machine movie feels Bert Kreischer. This feels a little CBS sitcom, Bert. Here's another log line. Kreischer will play a version of himself, a shirtless comedian, party legend, and perpetual wildcard. His daughters are accepted to an elite private school in Beverly Hills. When his antics turn the family into outcasts, he decides to put a shirt on, blah, blah, blah. That's sounding a little CBS, Bert. I don't know, man. Love you. I don't know. We'll see. Jeff Ross explained how he got Tom Brady to do the roast. Jeff told Howard Stern, I had seen Brady looking at my Instagram on Super Bowl Sunday a few years ago. I was like, why is Tom Brady on my Instagram? I had some jokes up. Maybe that's how he unwinds before a big game. And then he wins. So I hit him up the next day on Instagram going, dude, it's time for a roast. You obviously love this stuff. He writes me back. We start talking, and it turns out my agent and his agent worked together, and we put a deal together to do a roast. Netflix was like, sure. I'm like, let's elevate this whole thing. Bring the roast back bigger. I said to Tom right beforehand, why are you doing this? And he goes, I love this kind of humor. People are too snowflakey right now. It took so long because he agreed, then he retired, and we were like, now's our chance. Then he unretired. Then we had to wait till he was done playing. Then he was going through a divorce. Let's wait for that. Then Netflix was like, our festival's next May. Let's wait for that. And let's do it live. So he was already on the hook when I brought up the live idea. There's the moment in the roast where Brady said, don't say that stuff again, after Jeff Ross made a massage parlor joke about Patriots owner Robert Kraft. Was Brady actually angry about the joke? Jeff Ross said, I think Tom was checking me the way a lawyer objects on behalf of a client, even though they know it's kind of bull. I just shrugged it off and kept going. Margaret Cho, she's been doing a lot of press and says she wishes Dave Chappelle would not talk about the trans community in the way that he does. He's such an authority on comedy. People hold him in such high regard. But then when he talks about the trans community in such an uneducated, negative, and destructive way, it's really painful. Taylor Tomlinson is doing shows in Ireland. Talked to the Ireland press about doing big arenas and said she's used to it now. It's definitely a different muscle and a different cadence and a different speed, but once you figure it out, I think you have a good handle on it. I like performing in all kinds of different rooms. I think my favorite is probably on the smaller end, but you just don't get to speak to as many people that way, unfortunately, so it's not the most effective way to tour at this point, but I do love smaller rooms, especially when I'm writing new material. I love Ireland. I've been twice now. You know, sometimes you go to certain places and you're like, I could maybe live here. Taylor, I'm with you. I did the exact same thing when I was there. I was there in March, and I kind of want to go back. And let me take kind of out of that sentence. I do want to go back. Taylor says, I don't know if I feel that way about anyone else when I do these European runs. I'm always sad I don't have more time in Ireland. What's she doing now that the TV show's over and obviously touring comedy? I'm working on a movie that I would very much like to get made, and I'm writing a book. But beyond that, I think I've been very fortunate, and I have an incredible career that I'm so lucky to have. Asking for more feels sort of greedy at this point, so it's all a cherry on top as far as I'm concerned. Atsuko at Kotska told the LA Times, I think I have like 12 agents or something. And I'm like, is that even a thing? Comes with leveling up, right? Not to quote Spider-Man, but yeah, responsibility, right? She told a story about her childhood. Her parents divorced shortly after her birth in 1988. She lived with her father, later moved in with her mother and grandmother. Then when her mother started having mental health struggles, Atsuko's grandmother moved everyone to L.A. to be closer to the uncle. Grandma told 8-year-old Atsuko they were going on a 2-month vacation, but 8 weeks turned into years, and Atsuko started to wonder if she had been kidnapped. She said she had a lot of questions, like, did Grandma kidnap me? I also learned your gut is often right. Some podcasts for you to listen to. Mark Maron with Jordan Klepper, that's been out for a week now. That is really fantastic. I was checking that out before my daughter's soccer game. You know, you get there, you drop your daughter off, and then like dad has to sit around for an hour before the game. So I was sitting in the stands listening to that one. Really good. Maron, pretty forceful at the opening about political stuff. I covered that last week. And I also checked out that Deadline podcast, the comedy business one with guest Nate Bargatze. Try to be kind here. It's not produced well. I can tell that nobody who's ever produced a podcast is involved with that, or if they are, ooh, yikes. The levels aren't right. The EQ isn't right. These are just very basic things that someone like me could fix for you in 30 seconds. Not even doing a lot of work. There are AI tools that'll fix both those things, but it just sounded like, we ought to do a podcast. Everyone has a podcast, and they jumped on Zoom and they hit publish. Deadline, you can do a little better there. They're going to get good guests because they're Deadline. The host is also not up to the game. As a programmer, the note, talk to me about topic is not a question. That's just you have a list of punch things you want to get to, and that's not a conversation. That's you stop listening to the answer, and you looked at your piece of paper and said, ask him about the amusement park. Talk to me about the amusement park. Not really conversational. So from the program director's chair, the Deadline podcast could be a little bit better. Content-wise, I came away from it thinking, let me put it this way. If you listen to my podcast in 10 years and I come on and I go, remember when Nate Bargatze was going to do an amusement park? That was crazy. What was he thinking? If I do that 10 years from now, that sounds about right? Nate is just talking about like, I'm going to build a theme park in Nashville. Like that's nothing. And everyone's going to be like, we got to go to Nateland. He's famous, but is he famous? Are we booking a vacation in Nateland? Or is it we happen to be in Nashville? What should we do on Tuesday afternoon? I don't know. Want to go see Nateland? I don't know, man. He also gets into how he's just going to walk away from comedy touring and how no one believes him. I'm going to jump over here to the group of people who doesn't believe him, and I'm going to stand over there. So you can listen to that thing. It's basically the same themes that I've been telling you about on this show. It's the usual Nate press of where he is right now, building out Nateland Enterprises. Now, that is a good thing. Someday I'm going to come on this show and tell you, big media company has purchased Nateland Entertainment for $4 billion. Like, he's really smart with that stuff. But a theme park, I don't know, man. Anyway, check those out. All right, if you're a comedian, you got to be hawking a beer or you're going to get left behind. We've got Colin Jost hawking Blue Moon, Shane Gillis, of course, Bud Light. Now, Marcelo Hernandez. He's teamed up with Miller Lite. Now, Johnny Mac can be a beer snob, but sometimes I just like a basic light beer, and Miller Lite is my choice of light beers. I'm not doing an ad here. I just happen to really like a cold Miller Lite. You can make fun of me in the schoolyard. And then I'll be like, all right, let's order a Mackeson Triple Stout. Beer snob. Sometimes I like a nice cold Miller Lite. Anyway, Marcelo Hernandez is now part of an ad campaign. They've released a 20-second commercial styled after a sports draft announcing Marcelo Hernandez as its first pick in a fictional 2025 lineup. We see Marcelo wearing sunglasses sitting next to his mom. He's excited when his name is called. He takes the stage. He lifts up a Miller Lite jersey and a beer bottle. The Chiron says he's from Miami, Florida, and height is 5'8", and we see that 5'6" is crossed out. Miller Lite captioned the clip, "Welcome to the original light beer team." Marcelo does not speak in the clip, and I imagine if he did, he would just do that one character that he does in everything he does, right? And from the Moscow Times, your home for comedy news, this is a little scary. They write, Russia's former space chief, Dmitry Rogozin, threatened to send a group of young comedians to the war in Ukraine after they mocked his PhD dissertation on a TV show. The former space chief said he was sent a clip from a recent broadcast of the KVN comedy game show where teams compete for the title of Russia's funniest and most inventive club. In the sketch that he's mad at, a member of the team joked that the space chief had written in his dissertation that one doesn't swap the cosmos for a chick. The space chief went on his Telegram channel and said, "We'll take them to the front line and wish them good luck in battle, and when they return, we'll laugh together at their unfortunate, unfunny, and vulgar joke." Mr. Rogozin has a PhD in engineering and a focus on weapons theory. In his post, he claims to know which military enlistment office the KVN team members are registered with, and said it was awaiting the name of their joke writer, who he described as a talentless punk. "We'll teach them everything, including a sense of humor." The next day, he apparently had calmed down and said that the comedians are of no interest to us due to their intellectual immaturity. They may be good for silly jokes, but not for defending the motherland. That's your comedy news for today. I don't want any part of that. I'm just telling you what's going on. Do I have to pick sides? Rogozin's right. 100% right. I'm with that dude. See you tomorrow.